Hi there. Welcome to Apple World. So I need to converse with you folks. You realize I think going ahead I'm prepared to experience my reality ought to understand that anybody that rouses that degree of insane, presumably shouldn't have escaped this dating stage you all, so it seems to be the Gabrielle Union versus Dwyane Wade circumstance is settling the score more turbulent on the grounds that Dwyane Wade is reversing the situation and spilling some quite hot tea of his own on Gabrielle A. And we've all been hearing gossipy tidbits about Gabrielle uncovering Dwyane Wade mysteries like his supposed mystery, gay life in various undertakings, right? Well, currently Dwayne's applauding back. And he's noteworthy some insane stuff about Gabrielle. He's asserting that she was simply unkind to him, as well as purportedly forceful towards him during their marriage. And that is by all accounts not the only stunner he has in store on the grounds that did he hint that Gabrielle may be into ladies hers. Elf, listen, this show is giving some craziness, so we must separate it on down, you realize, separate froms. It's a matter of openly available report, and it had like perhaps 24 hours before somebody found it at the town hall, and it was a news thing unbelievably excruciating and troublesome. When it's something public, okay? So we should get into this delicious tea of a drum. So Dwyane Wade is at long last focusing on Gabrielle's humiliating disclosures, and incidentally, he's got his very own few allegations. And he's pointing fingers back at Gabrielle, calling her the antagonist in their marriage, and blaming her for being oppressive towards him. Might you all at any point accept that the accounts he's sharing are truly awe-inspiring, and it in all actuality does simply demonstrate that few out of every odd relationship via web-based entertainment is daylight, and rainbows currently in the event that you've been hiding away. Let me get you up on the most recent tattle. Presently last week we discovered that Gabrielle Union and Dwyane Wade's marriage was on the rocks. Purportedly things got so terrible that Gabrielle was in any event counseling divorce lawyers attempting to sort out whether or not they ought to fix things up or tap out now, who might have felt that this ideal beautiful couple had set show in the background. Well, as per Gabrielle, the significant justification for their issues was the way that Dwayne couldn't keep it in his jeans and continued to sling it around Hollywood only for anyone who needed a chomp. Now, as terrible as it sounds, him undermining her is the same old thing on the grounds that he's been doing that for his whole relationship, right from when they began dating. However, one of the various side pieces spilled the tea in those days, saying, I also had what was happening with Dwayne. Can't lie, he's perfect in bed, yet I certainly wouldn't treat him in a serious way the manner Gabrielle does. He lays down with and flies honeybees out all the time. They like to behave like, hey, are Michelle and Bark, when as a general rule they are not what they appear. She proceeded with, each time some sort of tattle comes out, they need to show up to show the media how genuine they are. He's engaged with numerous young ladies, and that is most definitely and everybody that arrangements with him knows this. Either Gabrielle knows this and couldn't care less, or she's acting ignorant, which I find hard to accept. Well, it turns out that Dwyane Wade's heartfelt ventures weren't restricted to simply ladies. He purportedly had his portion of experiences with the men's device. Currently, let me spill the tea. Dwyane Wade didn't segregate when it came to who grabbed his eye, and he was similarly as open to men as he was to ladies purportedly. Now, these murmurs regarding Dwyane Wade's mystery experiences with men have been drifting around for quite a while, and the bits of gossip have just developed further throughout the long term. However, in all honesty, very few individuals give dad consideration. He's been hitched to 2 ladies, and he even had a kid with another lady, so that ought to mean something. Well, apparently certain individuals currently accept that he involved these unions with ladies as a cover to safeguard his genuine sexuality, expecting that his mystery would be uncovered. The number of transparently gay men that, do you know, at the highest point of the NBA is relatively few, so we should return again to the breakchild circumstance. A few people think the explanation that Dwayne had a kid not long after the separation was to attempt to win Gabrielle back. I realize it sounds insane, yet utilizing a child to persuade somebody to return. However, listen to me out so I can separate it for you all and check out it just so it happens. The explanation Gabrielle and Dwayne tapped out in any case was on the grounds that Gabrielle really thought that Dwayne was maintaining mysteries about his sexuality. She was simply not having it any longer, so Dwayne got along with his long-lasting sweetheart, a J. Matt Toyer, and within a couple of months, she was expecting a little child. Gabrielle chose to take Dwayne back not long after the child news dropped, and it didn't exactly include why she would simply do that so rapidly after the child bombshell. Yet the rationale wasn't given yet as per the insiders. Dwayne decisively had the child to persuade Gabrielle that her doubts were unwarranted, and when she had what she accepted was the confirmation, she took him right on back. She likewise talked about the her in interview where she said it ought to be obvious that we were not in a decent spot when the youngster was considered. However, we were improving when he at long last enlightened me regarding the pregnancy. To say I was crushed is to pick a word on a low rack for comfort. There are individuals outside Iders I won't ever meet who have been disturbed that I have not recently discussed that injury. And indeed, even after untold measures of treatment, I don't know, I have them now. This makes sense of why she never appeared to recognize the Wayne's other child Xavier, and like to behave like he simply didn't exist yet. Have you all always asked why Dwayne is the best father to his 3 children? However, Xavier scarcely will see him beyond a television or Instagram that is on the grounds that supposedly Xavier didn't fit the truly flawless family that Gabrielle and Dee were holding back nothing. There's most certainly additional beside all the show encompassing Dwayne's sexuality. There were a lot of other wild things happening in their marriage, like how they split their bills directly down the center 50/50, and Gabrielle spilled the tea about that in a meeting. You consider a hotshot NB, a player like Dwyane Wade could foot the bills contrastingly right. However, no, they've been keeping it 50/50 equivalent. And it's peculiar to say I'm head of family because in this family, we split everything 50/50. Yet in different families, every one of us needs to help. It puts this, there's consistently this like a gorilla on your back that resembles you better work. You better work. Yet you all, for what reason, are there even more? Dwayne spilled a few additional succulent subtleties than interview. Turns out it was Gabrielle who pushed for this equivalent division, all due to something Dwayne said during a warmed contention that left her inclination truly awkward. We chose together in light of the fact that I assume I said one time we was in Miami, i.e. expressed something about it being my home that I paid for. My significant other took a gander at me. She resembled, you won't ever express that to me from now on. When it's something that we share, thus my better half was that way at the point when we moved to LA. I got half on it. You won't ever say my home from now on. Wow. Presently, fans really wanted to see Dwayne as the troublemaker in this adventure, particularly when they discovered that he let Gabrielle split the bills similarly in spite of his lot higher pay. It left individuals asking why he didn't simply offer more when he plainly had the means now. This entire monetary viewpoint had people agreeing with Gabrielle's position and energizing behind her when the marriage began to unwind. Yet clutch your butts, cause the Dwyane Wade side of the story is giving us some significant plot twist. It seems she could have had all of us messed with her story on the grounds that based on Dwayne's most recent disclosures, it appears as though he's the cat salty here, not the reprobate that we at first thought. Now, before we get into that clouded show, might we at any point kindly discussion about the way that Gabrielle now and again offered a few unusual expressions that made it seem to be she didn't actually regard Dwayne, like the time she said that greatest contrast among this and the last marriage will be at my demand. When you have your own stuff, you don't have to stress over any other person's stuff, so everybody ought to simply go into the relationship knowing I'm hanging around for yourself and you're hanging around for yourself. And actually, I've never seen Dwayne balance a checkbook, so I got to safeguard my stuff. It's the method for representing things to come now. I know that prenups are for the most part a shrewd thought, but the manner in which she was discussing Dwayne sort of recommended that she didn't regard him so much. Yet we're not finished with these gay reports on the grounds that recall when Puma Rice spilled some steaming hot tea about Dwayne being a